everyone, welcome to another lecture of the subject control system. In previous lecture we discussed about various standard functions and their Laplace transform in a couple of lectures previously. Some standard functions and their Laplace transforms, then some Laplace transform properties and all that. So in this video what I am going to do is I am going to discuss mainly three things. The first one is initial value theorem, second one is final value theorem, and the third one is inverse Laplace transform. Now let us first discuss initial value theorem. Initial value theorem. What does initial value theorem say? It says that if you have function f(s) in your hand and you don't know what the function in time domain is. If you have function fs in your hand and the corresponding time domain representation you don't know and you don't want to calculate it either, but you need the value ft for t tends to 0, or you can say for t equals to 0 plus. Why 0 plus? Because sometimes there may be some discontinuity, like in step function there is discontinuity at t equals to 0. So we are not considering t equals to 0. So we can consider t equals to 0 minus or t equals to 0 plus. Now why we are considering t equals to 0 plus? Again, there is a reason, because we are mainly focused towards t greater than 0. That means we are considering mainly only unilateral Laplace transform. Yeah, that's a term I wanted to say. So we are considering unilateral Laplace transform. That's why we don't care what was there before t equals to 0. That's why we any function ft, like maybe it was exponential function e to the power at, we were multiplying it with ut to ignore the term before t less than 0, I mean before t equals to 0. That's why we are getting t equals to 0 plus, not 0 minus. And why not 0 itself? Because in 0 there may be some discontinuity, like we are using ut, so ut is having discontinuity in t equals to 0. So by Gibbs phenomena it is half, though we can consider it, but for sake of simplicity we will consider t equals to 0 plus. So this theorem will give you the value of function of t at t equals to 0 plus. And if the function is continuous one, then continuous at t equals to 0, then that is not a big problem, because t equals to 0 plus and t equals to 0 minus and t equals to 0 will be the same, but t equals to 0 minus in the function will be the same, but if you multiply it with ut, then t equals to 0 plus and t equals to 0 will be same, but t equals to 0 minus will be 0 itself. I hope it is clear. So now what the formula is, how to calculate the function f of t equals to 0. It says f of t equals to 0 plus can be given as limit s tends to infinity s fs. Now there must be some conditions that must be satisfied, otherwise this formula will not be valid. Every formula, we are not going to deep into the derivation portion of this formula, because we are not doing rigorous mathematics here or transform theory. We are mainly concerned about the portion of mathematics which are needed in control system. So initial value theorem is something like that. So we just need this formula, we don't need the total derivation of this formula, how this formula comes, we don't care, but this is the formula, and to derive this formula you must have assumed something, and that assumption is the conditions which is applied over this function fs. Now what are these considered conditions? Now first of all, this condition must be f of t is equals to 0 for t less than 0. And as we all know, in case of control system we just using we just using the signal from t equals to 0 onwards. So we are considering unilateral Laplace transform. So there is no confusion that our function is having t if equals to 0 at t less than 0. So this is not unnecessary, I mean this is not something to be kept in mind, because we are considering these types of function only, so not to worry about that. Now the main point of worrying is that the function must be such that limit s tends to infinity sfs will be finite. Of course it must be true, otherwise it cannot happen that okay this is giving you infinite value, so that means the function was infinite at equals to 0, and those functions will not be actually those functions actually will not be our concern, only except delta t. Delta t is, we know, at t equals to 0 it is infinity. Except this function, we don't have any other functions which is useful for us. No, we don't have any functions like that. So now let us check the validity of this function a bit. Let me give you one function. Let's say fs is giving as s 1 by s into s plus 1, let's say. So this function, now let us consider sfs. What is sfs? It is s by s to s plus 1, s gets cancelled, and 1 by s plus 1 is the remaining portion. So now if we calculate s tends to infinity, s tends to infinity, 1 by s plus 1 will be 1 by infinity, that is 0. So 0 is finite value, yeah. So the function f of t at t equals to 0 plus will be infinity only. Sorry, 0 only. So now you had only function fs, you don't have any idea about ft at this point of time, but you can find the value at time t equals to 0 of ft using this formula only, using this function only. Okay, so this is the formula. Now we are saying that this is finite, so this is valid. And now let's say, okay, let us verify a bit. There is a concept in inverse Laplace transform, that is partial fraction. I will go deep into that a bit later. Just for now on, just remember, you can just see, you can actually write this formula like this, this function, you can write it as this function, because it will give you the same thing, s into s plus 1, and s plus 1 will be there, minus s, so s gets cancelled, 1 by s into s plus 1. Okay, it is perfectly okay. Now we know the Laplace transform of f t equals to, let's do this, we know the Laplace transform of 1 by s, I mean inverse Laplace, because ut was having Laplace transform 1 by s, so 1 by s is having inverse Laplace as ut. Now 1 by s plus 1, what is 1 by s plus 1? Remember, 1 by s plus a was giving you e to the power minus at ut, so you can write it as e to the power minus t ut. Okay, so now what is the value of t equals to 0 plus? Because t equals to 0 plus ut, that means u of 0 plus is 1 minus e to the power minus 0 plus, that means e to the power minus 0 is 1 into e to the ut, again 1 minus 1, that is equals to 0. This is 0. So in this case, this formula, this theorem is perfectly valid. Now let us consider another example. Okay. Now I am doing these examples because of, not for practicing, but to just give you an idea that this formula is not valid always. Okay. So let us call s plus 3 only. So you know what is ft, e to the power minus 3t, sorry, e to the power minus 3t ut. So what you are expecting to get, that means ft equals to 0 plus what you are expecting, e to the power minus 3 into 0, and ut 0 plus means 1, that means is 1 only. So if this formula gives you 1, then this is perfectly valid. Now let's see. Okay, one thing, why we are using t equals to 0 plus, not t equals to 0? Look, in previous case our ft was ut minus e to the power minus t ut. It was the formula. Now if instead of t equals to 0 plus I write it as t equals to 0 minus, I mean not 0 minus, 0 minus cannot be there, 0 only. So ut doesn't have any defined value of function at t equals to 0, but we can consider t at t equals to 0, we can consider Gibbs phenomena. It can be written as half, and it will be giving you 1, and it will give you half again. So half minus half equals to 0. It was coming as 0 and it was again coming as 0. It is again coming as 0. So we can calculate t equals to 0, again t equals to 0 plus. But in this case, just see, in this case, if we calculate t equals to 0, then e to the power minus 3 into 0 is okay. But u of 0 will be 1 half. So the answer will be 1 half. So this function is having different value at t equals to 0 and t equals to 0 plus. Why? Because this function is discontinuous at t equals to 0. Yeah, the function is like this. Normal e to the power 3, e to the power minus 3t is like this, and this function whenever you are multiplying with ut, this is like this. So this is the discontinuity, and then the function is continuous. Okay, that's why this situation is arriving. So for playing in safe side, we can only consider t equals to 0 plus, and that will not have any problem in case of our analysis. So the initial value is 1. Now let us see, this formula is giving us initial value of 1 or not. So the formula is SFS. Let us first find SFS. It is this, and then put limit s tends to infinity, s by s plus 3. Now look, it is coming as infinity by infinity form. So you can use L'Hopital rule. Using L'Hopital rule, you can differentiate this to 1, and you can differentiate this 1 plus 0. So it is giving you as 1. Now this function is, this formula is giving you 1, and this function is giving you 1 itself. So this is also perfectly valid situation. Now remember one thing, you have your numerator order as 0. Here numerator order is 1. Now the previous example was like this. The numerator order was 1, I mean 0. The denominator order was 2. As long as the order of numerator is less than, strictly less than, not greater than or not equal, strictly the numerator order is less than the denominator order, then this formula is perfectly valid. We call this as a proper fraction. Whenever order of, I mean proper function, or yeah, what was proper fraction? Proper fraction means the numerator value, let's say 1 by 3 was proper fraction, 2 by 5 was proper fraction, but 5 by 2 was not proper fraction because numerator value is greater. Similarly, this proper function means the order of the function, order of the polynomial in numerator will be greater than, will be lesser than the order of the polynomial in denominator. This is proper function. Now let us consider a non-proper function, and let's see the thing is valid or not. Okay, let us consider s plus 3 by s plus 2, order 1, order 1. So this is not going to be valid case. Let us see. First let me check what is ft. S by s plus 2, or you can call it as, sorry, f of s you can write it as s plus 2 plus 1 by s plus 2. Okay, perfectly valid, and it is what by s plus 2. Now 1 in time domain, it will be 1 only, or it will be delta t plus this one will be 1 by s plus 2 means sorry, e to the power minus 2t ut. Now the thing is, this function is valid for, we can call, actually there are some condition. If t is equals to 0 for t less than 0. Okay, no impulse in time domain. Now here at t equals to 0 there is an impulse. Okay, at t equals to 0. Why at t equals to 0? Because if there is some function like this and there is an impulse there, so the initial value of this function will not be any problematic thing. But this impulse, if this, instead of being here, if this impulse is here, then that value will be infinity. F of 0 plus will be, actually f, so f of 0 will be infinity. Sorry, f of 0 will be infinity here because of this impulse function. But what will be f of 0 plus? F of 0 plus will be, look, for 0 plus delta t is 0 and e to the power minus 2t, that means 2 into 0 plus, or 0 plus 0, that means 1. Now let us see this function is giving you the correct form or not. Actually this function, now this formula will not give you this value. Why? Because of this presence of the delta t. Okay, and let us call it s of fs, s into s plus 3, or let me write it as this, square plus 3s by s plus 2. Now whenever you are putting the limit s tends to infinity, square plus 3s by s plus 2. Now what you are getting? Infinity by infinity form. So let us consider L'Hopital rule. I sometimes call it L'Hospital, or sometimes I call it L'Hopital. So that is not the problem. Let us stick to one notation, L'Hopital. Okay. So this will be differentiated like 2s plus 3, and this will be differentiated like 1 plus 0. So it is 1. Now whenever you are putting this value will give you infinity. Now apparently it may seem that, okay, this is initially this is infinity and this is giving me as infinity, so there is not any problem. But why this formula is used? Because we want to know the value of the function at time t equals to 0 or 0 plus. Now for our purpose, like for our kind of signal, we have those signals like this only, where we don't have any impulse function there in origin, because it is practically impossible to implement. So we can perfectly use this function, and we will not face any problem for whether we are getting t equals to 0 or t equals to 0 plus. We are not getting any problem. Why? Because look, if we consider any function to be multiplied with ut, then t equals to 0 will not be a convenient form for us to use. T equals to 0 plus will be convenient form, and it will be the convention that, like the previous function, it were minus 2t, or what was it? It was 3t, I guess, ut. So if it is t equals to 0, we are getting as half, and if it is t equals to 0 plus, we are getting as 1. Now we are considering this. Why? Because in practical case we don't consider Gibbs phenomena, because Gibbs phenomena is not defined value, it is undefined, and Gibbs considered that it can be defined like this. Whenever you need, you can do this, but you don't need to do it always. So we, for our convenience, we consider only t equals to 0 plus. Now here also we will consider only t equals to 0 plus. Now if this function is given to you, we will not consider delta t. Why? Because you will consider only 0 plus. So the initial value of this function will not be infinity, rather it will be 1. But this function is giving you infinity, this value. But it is perfectly okay, but of no use. It is useless. It is useless. Why it is useless? Because we don't care. If it is not a finite value at time t equals to 0, we don't care. And if at time t equals to 0 any discontinuity is happening, then at t equals to 0 plus and t equals to 0, it will be giving you two different things like this. So for convenient, we will use 0 plus, because we are concerned about t equals to 0 and the portion of the time axis after t equals to 0 up to t equals to infinity. So if we consider t equals to 0, then it is a problematic thing. If we consider t equals to 0 plus, and now it is some greater than 0, and you can consider the rest of the thing, because from t equals to 0 plus onwards it is continuous, the function is continuous, but at t equals to 0 it is not continuous, or here it is not continuous at t equals to 0, because the value is infinite, it is unbounded. That's why this is the case. Now this must be a proper function. Now this must be a proper function is not the condition, the written condition here, but experimentally, or you can do some experiments, like mathematical experiments, I mean to say, using some kind of different kind of functions, and you can do this kind of things. Then you will notice by experience that whenever fs is a proper function, then it is perfectly valid, and whenever fs is not a proper function, then it is giving you some trouble. That's why now ft equals to 0 for t less than 0, no impulse in time domain at t equals to 0. Now if we know the time domain function, then what is the use of this initial value theorem? We don't know the time domain function, that is why we are using initial value theorem. We just know fs, so we need some intuition that just seeing only fs we can consider that okay, this is going to give you the initial value using this theorem or not. That condition is this proper function or improper function. Okay, I hope it is clear to you, initial value theorem, or it is also called IVT, initial value theorem. Now let us consider another theorem, that is, let us discuss final value theorem. Okay, the thing is pretty much same. Okay, there is another condition, that is the function must be sufficiently differentiable. That means the function must be smooth, the function ft must be smooth. It's not like that, okay, here it is a discontinuity, but we are considering t equals to 0 plus, then it is okay. But now in middle there is another discontinuity, let's say these two discontinuities or this another discontinuities, this will be not valid. Now again, that is a time domain information, and we don't need any time domain information. If we have those time domain function and we know these time domain informations, then we can find the initial value using time domain only. Why to use this formula. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now the next thing, FVT or final value theorem. Now as you might understand, what is final value? That means the final value at the time t. That means final value means t equals to, t tends to infinity. Now let us say ut, you have ut. What is the final value of this? Whenever time t tends to infinity, the final value of this will be 1 only, because it is fixed up to infinity. So the final value of ut is infinity, like this, is 1, like this. Okay, now again, if you have only fs and you don't have any information regarding ft, you still can find, provided some condition, the formula will be here. Now t equals to infinity we cannot write, rather we will write t tends to infinity and s equals to 0 is fs. Function is same. Whenever this was 0, this was infinity. Whenever this was infinity, this is 0. Now let us consider u of, okay, capital U of s, that is 1 by s. Let us see, let us verify it is coming as 1 or not. So sus is 1. Now limit s tends to 0, 1 means 1 itself is perfectly okay. Now another function 1 by s plus 3, the function we were using e to the power minus 3t ut. What is the value of t equals to infinity or t tends to infinity? E to the power minus 3 into infinity, and ut was giving you infinity at t equals to 1 at t equals to infinity, so it is giving you 0. Let us consider this. Let us verify whether this is giving as 0 or not, s plus 3. Now whenever you are putting limit s tends to 0 in this function s by s plus 3, we are putting it 0 by 0 plus 3 tends to 0. Perfectly valid. Perfectly valid. Now another function, let us consider okay, let us consider some function as fs equals to 1 by s plus or s square into s plus 1. 1 by s square into s plus 1. Now again, this can be converted into a time domain function using partial differentiation, sorry, not partial differentiation, partial fraction expansion, sorry for that. Okay, but we are not going to do that right now. So what is this giving you? SFS is s by s square s plus 1. So 1 s gets cancelled, so it is 1 by s into s plus 1. Now if you put limit s tends to 0 is fs, then it is going to give you 0 into 1, that is infinity. Now this is coming as infinity. Now it may happen that the time domain function is giving you truly infinity. Time domain function is giving you infinity, like RT. RT is TUT. What is the value of RT? At t tends to infinity, infinity. So this will give you some function which will give you t equals to infinity, for t equals to infinity, infinity. That's why it is coming as infinity. But the thing is, we will not consider those functions, because those functions are unbounded signal. Okay, I am considering these to be functions, but in case of control system, for practical application, we will call it to be signals. Maybe it is input signal or disturbance signals or output signal. So signal must be bounded, otherwise the analysis would not be possible. If we use e to the power 3t as signal, we must define some boundary for t equals to, let's say, 0 to 4, let's say 4. So it will give you maximum value as e to the power 12, not more than that. Now if I let it to go towards infinity, this will go towards infinity. So that will not be some practical scenario. That's why we are not concerned about those functions which will give you infinity at any point of time, be it for t equals to 0, be it for t equals to infinity, or be it at in between any point. Whenever it is infinity, we are not considering. So we can call these functions to be not valid in this situation. Those functions, like look, this function is proper function. There is no problem because the degree of this polynomial is 0 and the degree of this polynomial, I mean order of this polynomial is 0 and order of this polynomial is 3. Numerator polynomial order is less than denominator polynomial. Still this function is giving you this kind of situation. Why? Because we are putting s tends to 0, not s tends to infinity. If it was s tends to infinity, then it was not having any problem, 1 by infinity equals to 0, but it is giving you s tends to 0, that's why 1 by 0 is infinity. So this is going to be unbounded signal, and that is why we call, whenever you have multiple poles on, I think you can remember what is pole. Pole is the root of the denominator polynomial. What is denominator polynomial? This function. And if there is multiple pole at origin, that means if this has root is equals to 0 multiple number of times, then these functions, this theorem will not be valid. Now what is the thing? What is the poles here? For s equals to -1, there is one pole, s equals to -1. For s equals to 0, there is 2 poles. There is 2 poles, s equals to 0. That's why we are considering there is multiple poles. Now what is the case? We can call it a bit differently, like this. If SFS having any pole on the origin, SFS having any pole on the origin, then this function will not be valid. Now if Fs has one pole, let's say s plus a something s plus a. If Fs has only one pole at origin, one pole means one pole at origin, one pole is at -a, one pole can be at -b or anywhere in between. But if there is having at least one pole, then SFS will give you, this SS will get cancelled. So that will not be at any trouble. Now if you put s equals to 0, that will be 1 by a. So it is perfectly valid. Now if there is 2 poles, in Fs, then whenever you are multiplying it with s, then only one s will get cancelled, one s will be still there, one pole will be still there at origin. Then that function will give you 1 by 0, and this will lead you to infinity. So then these functions will be invalid. Now what does that mean? If SFS is having any pole, if it is having one pole, then also problem. If it is having 2 poles, that means Fs is having 3 poles at origin. Fs is having 3 poles at origin, so SFS will be having 2 poles at origin. Then also the problem will be the same. That means we can call, whenever you are given a function Fs and you are asked to find the final value of the time domain function using final value theorem, just check it whether final value theorem is valid or not. Now how we are going to check it, the final value theorem is valid or not? By looking at the function Fs, whether Fs is having any origin, any pole at origin, I mean any pole more than, I mean not any pole, whether it is having two or more number of poles in origin. If it is having one pole, then SFS will be cancelled, S will be cancelled with this multiplication factor S. So that is not a problem. If it is having more than one poles at origin, then this is going to be a trouble for you. This will give you infinity, because, or if you can, both are same thing, both are basically same thing. So whenever you are having poles at origin more than two or more than one, in case of Fs, in case of Fs only, the function you are given more than one, then this function is not valid, the formula is not valid. And if you have SFS having poles, both the same thing. If Fs is having more than one pole, then SFS will be having at least one pole at origin. So this is the thing. Now let me check the time. Okay, so the time is over. I will discuss inverse Laplace transform in next video. So let us stop here. Final value theorem and initial value theorem. Though these were a bit small topic, but I have discussed it with too much detail. I think that, okay, details, it's not bad. We are having some examples, we have solved some examples on final value and initial value theorem, and we find, actually I am not telling you okay these things valid only for these conditions and these things are valid only for these conditions, not like that. I have proved that using some examples. Using some example, I have arrived through the condition that only looking at Fs you can tell whether initial value theorem is valid or not, whether final value theorem is valid or not. Okay, and all that. So this is the thing, final value theorem and initial value theorem. In next video I am going to discuss about inverse Laplace transform, then we will go towards time domain analysis. The chapter will be end, and then we will discuss time domain analysis. Okay, so thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed the video. That's much for today's lecture.